The time has finally come, aka 6 months late, but today I'm finally going to be watching Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. Hello, my name is Paul and welcome back to my channel. If you do not know what Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey is about, you have been missing out a little bit. You've not been missing out too much because it's not really that good. If you know, you know. If you don't know, then I'll quickly let you know. It's basically about Christopher Robin getting hunted down by Winnie the Pooh and Piglet when Christopher is older. The movie basically has no plot, it's just Winnie the Pooh chasing and going after people, and it is absolutely horrific. But I heard that the second movie is meant to be a little bit better. I don't know who these sources are, I don't know if I trust them, but I'm actually going to try be a little bit more positive in this video, because in my previous videos about these movies I've been so negative, but now I'm going to try be positive. So what are my expectations for this movie? I want there to be a better story, and I want Winnie to just look better, and I know he's going to look better because we watched the trailer on this channel, and I want the new characters to look good, and I just want it to be fun and just a little bit better than the first movie. I am not asking for much. That's all I want. I just want a little bit better, because the first movie was just painful. But as I said, I'm actually going to try to be positive with my review and not just be entirely negative, even though it's going to be difficult, but I'm going to try my best. So let's go watch Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey number 2, and let's try to be positive. I hope it's better. I hope it's better. Let's go.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, hello, I'm putting on my hat. This has kind of like become a review hat, but I have just watched Winnie the Pooh 2, Blood and Honey, and oh my god, okay, I was going into this expecting it to be just absolutely brutal, and I was so surprised because this movie is actually watchable, and it is not like the worst piece of shit ever. And as I said, I'm going to try to be positive, and I have actually quite a lot of positive things to say about this movie. This is like such a surprise for me, because if you've been watching my videos leading up to this, you know that this movie and I have had a very rocky relationship, aka everything from this movie sucking and me talking crap about it. But now I actually have a lot, I guess, of praise to give to this movie, because if you don't remember, the first movie was just, oh my god, you just couldn't watch it. It was absolutely brutal. But this movie follows Christopher. He's recovering from the first movie. He has a lot of trauma, and the other half of this movie is we have Piglet, Tigger, Owl, and Pooh. They are back, and they're slowly trying to make their way back to Christopher. But whilst they're getting back all the way to Christopher, because they've separated, you know, they live in the 100-acre woods, and Christopher's kind of recovering and has a lot of trauma that he's dealing with, and he's just trying to chill and live his life normally. But people don't really like him. The entire town is turning against him. His work at the hospital is turning against him, and his life is just basically falling apart, and everybody thinks that he's a murderer. So we have two storylines, and as I said, we have new characters. We have Winnie the Pooh, Tigger, Owl, and who's the other? Oh yes, Piglet. Those are our new characters, and it's nice because as I mentioned earlier, they're creating this big universe that I feel like is going to be quite fun. And if the movies progress at the pace that they're going at now and the quality that they've been progressing at, the next few movies are going to be absolutely incredible. The first thing I want to say is that the production is just so much better. We start off the movie and we're getting a bit of a backstory, and then we are in the 100-acre woods and we see like a group of girls sitting in a camper van, and they're like playing the Ouija board trying to get Winnie the Pooh to come, which is quite funny. And you know, we have the big stereotypes of horror movies where the black character has to die first and all the girls are stupid, and it's just all these stereotypes. But whatever, this kind of shows us the quality and the standard that this movie is going to show to us, because we see Pooh and he is demolishing these girls, and I mean breaking every single limb, throwing them around, dragging them, throwing them into bear traps, and it shows us how much the quality has improved, how much more gore that there's going to be in this movie. And I was so shocked. I was like, why do these kills look absolutely great? But saying that, we have a few scenes where they use CGI, aka there's a girl burning down inside the caravan, and it looks like somebody's kind of like, I don't know, the CGI just looks absolutely horrific. So whenever they use CGI, let's not talk about it, but whenever they don't, it's actually really good. The kills look really good. You can tell that the budget is there, and they're being so inventive, and I can't believe I'm paying this movie so many compliments because I was so impressed. So as the movie progresses, we see Diet Barry Keoghan, because this guy literally looks like Barry Keoghan, except he can't really act, and his emotional depth absolutely sucks, and every single time something brutal happens on screen, Christopher is just kind of like, oh no way, did he actually kill you? Oh, that's really sad to hear. He just like mauled your face and you have no eyes, lips, nose or nothing left. That's actually really sad. And that's one thing I don't really like about this movie. Every single time we see Christopher Robin doing something dramatic, trying to just be like a human that's emotional, his reactions are just so unbelievable. And saying that, there's actually a story that's created within this movie. Whereas in the first one, there was no real story. Whereas in this one, there is. We see Christopher, as I said, he's recovering, but at the same time, he's trying to figure out what happened to his younger brother, Billy. Billy was kidnapped when he was younger. And who was he kidnapped? Blah, blah, who was he kidnapped by? Well, we don't know. We see Christopher trying to discover that by going to therapy sessions. He's hypnotized and he goes back into his past. And it's great because we get a lot more emotional depth to Christopher. We see what he's like as a character. We see what he's like around his family. It's very, very interesting. It gives us a foundation. But at the same time, we don't really see him interact with any of the characters a lot. We see it in flashbacks, but we only see him interact with Winnie the Pooh towards the end of the movie, but I will get to that in a few minutes. So, another thing, I know I'm complaining and I said I'm going to be really positive, but you know what I just really hate in movies? I know this is petty, this is just not fair, but this movie is just going to be the movie that I'm going to have to talk about with this little problem. Whenever we see cars in movies, the cars that our main characters are driving, and they do not have number plates, please just give them number plates, because I don't know why. It's just a little thing, but I always have a problem with it. Whenever I see a car with no number plates in a movie that the main character is driving, it just takes me out of it. But anyway, let's get back to it. So the next thing I want to say, the big compliment, is that Winnie the Pooh actually looks a lot more terrifying. It's impressive how much Winnie has improved. He actually looks like a terrifying character. From afar, whenever you see his entire body, you're like, I'm not really buying this. But whenever there are up close shots of his face, especially his eyes, the detail and the effort that's gone into it, like for the upgrade, is absolutely incredible. The one character that I do feel looks horrific in this movie is Owl. Yeah, he literally looks like you've just went down to your local like shop and just bought a costume for Halloween for like €10 or $10 or whatever. It does not look great, but one character that is absolutely hilarious in this movie is Tigger. So we see him going to a rave because there's a rave happening. I don't really understand that scene, because I feel like if we take that rave scene out of the movie, it would work perfectly fine. But anyway, so we see Tigger go to a rave and he's attacking loads and loads of half-naked people. They're all like in their 20s and he's just attacking them. But every time he's about to attack a girl, he likes to say the word bitch, and it is like every single sentence Tigger has is like, I'm gonna get you, bitch, I'm gonna kill you, bitch, I'm gonna bitch. Every single, like, I'm not even joking, every single sentence he has, and every sentence just has the word bitch in it, and it is hilarious because Tigger as a character does not look great either. So whenever you see him standing like this and his tail is doing this and he's like, come here, bitch, I'm gonna kill you, bitch, it looks it takes you out of it, okay? But the thing that compensates for all this is the kills. The kills in this movie are a lot more brutal. As I said, at the rave and towards the end of the movie, we get some graphic up close shots of these characters getting mauled, bodies cut in half, limbs cut in half, everything broken that you can imagine. It's great. A lot of the shots are dark and up close, but that's because of the budget, so it's fine, I forgive it. It's a lot better than the first movie, and you have no idea how important and great that is for me. And now back to another little negative. So as we see Christopher Robin trying to figure out what happened to his little brother, we see the thing that I feel like really brings this movie down is the script alongside Christopher's acting, because the script just feels unbelievable at times. Like, I feel like nobody would really talk like that in real life, especially when you're like trying to figure out what happened to your young little baby brother that was abducted. Just the script, the way it runs, it just feels out of place, and I don't really like it. But saying that, whenever you're trying to have like a really emotionally impactful movie that's in the middle of a Winnie the Pooh slasher movie, how seriously are you really gonna take it? So maybe I need to cut a little bit of slack. Maybe it's fine, it's just doing its purpose, but I feel like there's just too much of it. There's just a little bit too much. But saying that, the pace and the suspense in this movie is actually a lot better. There are a lot of scenes wherever we see somebody like hunting, for example, and you're kind of waiting around to see who's gonna appear, who's gonna pop up and kill. And that also happens whenever we see Winnie the Pooh invade Christopher Robin's house. We see like very slow shots, the music is working, we see like a light switch flick and we're expecting to see somebody and it doesn't happen. And it's just the little things that you notice, especially after the first movie, that you kind of like, you feel happy. It's like watching your son grow up. And you're like, oh, I'm so proud of you. You can actually do that because you couldn't do that last year. It's so sweet. And that's kind of like, I felt like a father watching this movie, and I was just a little bit proud. I'm not too impressed. I'm not going to pay my son loads of compliments, but I was like, oh, he's getting there. And that's kind of how I felt towards this movie. Another thing I actually really liked about this movie is the form that it takes. So instead of kind of like following Christopher Robin and that a set of people that get killed, we see just random groups of people pop up throughout the movie that get killed. So we have hunters, we have policemen, we have the people in the caravan, and we just see them doing something like, I don't know, maybe walking around or searching, and as they're doing something, we see the kills happen. I really like that because one, we don't really need to build the emotion and the character development there because we're getting that from Christopher Robin already. So we just see these characters get killed in fun ways, and I feel like that's what this movie's about. And I feel like that sort of form really works here, is we have that emotional story with Christopher Robin, and whenever we need the relief from the dramatic storyline, we just cut away to a group of people that get killed by Piglet or by Tigger, and it's great because it's just a nice balancing act. But the thing I was saying earlier, towards the end of the movie, we are kind of building up to this confrontation between Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin, and whenever they meet, it's just kind of like they're on screen together for like 4 or 5 minutes, and you want this to be a big fight, because in the first movie it kind of felt like towards the end the fight was never going to end. But here, spoilers incoming, we see Christopher just smash Winnie the Pooh across the head, and that's it, he's gone. And it lasts a few minutes, and that's it. And another spoiler, I'm gonna these are big spoilers, so do not listen if you don't want to know. The whole thing with this movie is that Billy, Christopher's brother, was kidnapped by this doctor, and the doctor basically experimented on him. And long story short, his brother turned into Winnie the Pooh. And as a concept, I was like, that's it's predictable, but it's quite fun. So at the end, you maybe think that Winnie the Pooh is going to hear his real name, Billy, and like react, or something would happen. Maybe it would make him really, really angry. But no, he just kind of like attacks Christopher's friend, and then Christopher's like, hey, Billy, because he calls him by his real name. That's the big emotional thing. And he just hits him across the head, and that's it. And then after the credits, or like towards the end, we were like, ooh, another movie's coming. And that's kind of it. And I was like, oh, we've just spent 90 minutes waiting for this confrontation, and we didn't really get it. But you know what, I'm not going to be too harsh, because I've paid this movie quite a lot of compliments. It's so much better than the first movie, by miles. It works so much better. It's a lot more fun, and I'm going to say it, I'm kind of excited for the third movie. Not that I'll ever get to see it in the cinema, because why in the world would they show this in Ireland? That's never going to happen. But I'm excited because the potential is there, and it's fun. It's fun. It's exciting to see where they're going to take this movie and the entire universe, because I don't know. But at the same time, my thing with this movie is I just can't take the obvious like people in suits very seriously, because whenever you see them from afar, you're like, they're obviously suits. I'm not buying it sometimes, and I feel like it just takes me out of the movie sometimes. And saying that, I do feel like this could be like a little small cult classic that people online like to watch, and this is definitely something that would be really fun to watch with a group of people, so I do recommend it. But I think that's everything I have to say about Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey #2. Have you watched this movie? What did you think of it? Were you more impressed or disappointed? Please let me know, because I want to know why. And I'll be back talking about Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey whenever they eventually release the third movie, or Peter Pan, or whatever else they're going to be releasing in this universe. But regardless, I'm going to be there and I'm going to be watching it. So I think that's everything I have to say. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.